Hey, friends, and welcome to the Next Best Thing podcast. I'm your host, Andrea Cline-Thomas. I'm here to help you live the life that you design instead of choosing a life you think you have to settle for. Now, if you're watching this on YouTube, you're going to see me looking down a little bit because I have some notes for this episode I want to make sure that we cover today. It's just going to be you and me real quick, though, real quick. Now, this podcast was created, and I tell y'all all the time, it was created because I am a professional box checker, right? I did the things I was told to do. I got the education. I started small. I moved my way up from market to market in local news. And when I got to what was supposed to be what I told was success, I was like, this kind of sucks. It just kind of sucks. And what I've recognized is that the systems that I was navigating only had the capacity to keep me small. It was the systems. They didn't have the capacity to hold what I had to offer. Now, some people in that system, even some of those who look like me, reinforce that desire as well. That is another story for another day. But the point is that I really could not exist in the fullness of my capacity where I used to be. It just wasn't designed that way. So I hopped on this mic so I could wave the white flag and be like, hey, guess what? Guess what? We've been bamboozled. You can actually make your own rules. Yes, you, even if you're a Black. Yes, you, even if you're a woman. Yes, you, even if you're a Black woman. Yes, you, even if you're a part of any other marginalized community, right? Yes, it will take more work. Yes, it will take more strategy. And that strategy includes money because we don't sugarcoat things around here, right? But this joint is actually possible. So many people are doing it. So many people have done it in the past. And even when the episodes are, a swift kick to the butt a little bit, no, truly the intention is for it to be a love letter in hopes that you can see yourself the way that I see you, with all the potential to be fully aligned and a magnet in all the goodness that you desire for yourself. Now, we're just about halfway through the year, so we need to go ahead and check in. We've already covered a lot of ground on this podcast, but I wanted to really just check in and confront head on some places that may have you stuck. Here's the thing. I don't want December to come and have all these conversations of making goals doesn't make any sense. I don't want to make resolutions. It doesn't, you don't need to do that. And I think a lot of the reasons why people say that is one, because they are not successful in moving the needle in their life. And they're just probably not holding themselves accountable throughout the year. And if you want to get from where you are to where you want to be, it takes work, right? And it takes accountability. So we're about at the 6-month mark, and the goal, the word for the year on this podcast is intentional. So this is an intentional check-in, an intentional, like, hey, if you haven't done what you said you wanted to do, it's cool. We still have time, right? There's still time for now, right? How can we shake some stuff up? So I start by asking, why not you? Why not you? You have this feeling that there's more, or there doesn't even actually have to be more. You just have this feeling that there is different out there for you. And just because that knowing does not come with a predetermined 10-step plan does not make it any less valid. That feeling exists for a reason. And in fact, dreams and desires often come with a blank slate. The difference between those who get to where they want to go and those who don't are two things: their mindset and their action. And mindset always comes first, because when you are aligned mentally, your actions will naturally follow, right? Now, when we're talking about actions, we're not talking about big, grand steps, but the small, often tedious, overlooked actions that are sustained over time. We say in the newsletter, small steps lead to big results. So it's the stuff that you do when no one's watching, right? It's not the stuff that's on the highlight reel of social media. It's the tedious stuff that likely triggers your procrastination. Can we talk about it? Ugh. For me, I procrastinate by going online and scrolling and scrolling and scrolling and scrolling. Like I have to check myself on that. This podcast, for example, right? That just started as a promise I made to myself. And I didn't know if anybody other than my mother would listen, honestly. The whole idea of it really, really made me nervous. And you all just get the final product. But what you don't see are the hours, like literal hours that go into each episode. Me editing in bed sometimes with a scarf or bonnet on. Me trying to pull myself together. Like today, I'm in full fro action. I try to put on a little bit of a face to at least be presentable. You should have seen what I looked like 5 minutes ago, right? Do you know how many times I have wanted to skip a week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks or an entire month or longer? Many times, many times. In addition to the hours of editing and the hours of prep for the interviews, I'm booking guests, sometimes getting rejected by them because they say the platform's just not big enough. And so it's not worth their time. It's fine, right? And then all the time that goes into marketing this podcast. So it could be on people's radar. So it's something that they want to click on and check out. It is all part of the process to an unknown destination. I don't know where this is going or what this could potentially do, but I don't want to leave prematurely, before I can see what this could become. Because I know that I'm on the right track. And your notes to me are confirmation of that. You assure me kind of along the way. So back to you. Aren't you worth the process and the effort? Like for real, aren't you worth it? Aren't you worth the effort? And it's okay not to know what's next, right? But why wouldn't you at least try to find out? My guest recently, Amy Schoenthal, she talked about the benefits of being in the explore phase. And she was talking about it in the context of navigating a setback. But she said that we constantly need to be exploring, whether we're in a setback or not. It comes in handy when you're in a setback because it allows you to kind of bounce back faster. We know setbacks are going to come. But the question here is, what's stopping you from exploring? I mean, Beyonce's internet is vast. It has so many resources. What you're going through, journalism taught me this. What you're going through, chances are many other people have gone through it already, and they're probably already talking about it online. What's the exact internal dialogue or excuse that keeps telling you that it keeps you from exploring? What's the excuse that you keep telling yourself that keeps you from exploring? Now, excuse me, because, this is the African in me, all right, coming out. Specifically, my dad, who raised us very matter-of-factly, right? He was very much of like, if you want to do this, then you do that. And it gets you to this. Like, it's like there was no gray. I at least recognize there's nuance, but why wouldn't you explore just for yourself? This is not taking action or changing your life or blowing anything up. It's just exploring. What happened to your curiosity? Now, here's a reminder, right? You do have to put some skin in the game. Everything can't be free. Sometimes you're going to have to pay, right? But you are your best investment. And if it's not you, then who is? You might say, okay, my children are my best investment, but your children can only rise to the level of how healthy and full and fulfilled you are as a parent. So are you then now standing in their way of the fullness of who they could be? And another thing that people talk about, and it's real, right, is failure. So let's go ahead and approach the topic. What is failure really? Is failure trying really hard and not getting the desired result, but learning so much along the way and possibly meeting dope people on the journey? Is that failure? Or is failure just not trying at all? Look, American culture worships money, but time is actually the ultimate resource because it's finite. In my family, we have a group chat, right? Where we say like hello every morning, at the very least, send memes, organize when we're going to be getting together, stuff like that. And my brother, since the pandemic, really, that's when we started the group chat, was during the like height of the pandemic. But he is always talking about like, don't take today for granted or make this an amazing week. And it's something that the family as a whole is really adopting more and more. I mean, have you ever been to a funeral? The cemetery is full of people who really just wanted one more day. Yet here we are every day opening our eyes, and it's a blessing. It's truly a blessing, just taking all of it for granted. Last week, Adivi Vargas told a story that she heard about a conversation that would happen in heaven. This was not actually a religious story at all. She kind of recounted the story she heard, and I'm going to recount the story that she told me that she heard, right? But the whole gist of it, the idea was that if you could get a glimpse of who you could become in heaven and compare that to who you are now in your current state, would you be on the path of becoming that person? What would your future self say to your current self? Would your future self say, you are on the right path? Or would your future self be saying, what happened? What happened? Where are you going? What's going on? Like, what would that conversation be? And so, are you moving in the direction of your potential? Now, this is not a work conversation specifically. It might be work for you. It was work for me, but it's not necessarily a work conversation. I'm talking about more purpose, right? I'm talking about leaning in to the compass that is your gut, that has been afforded to all of us. All of us were given that compass. I'm talking about living your values and understanding that society tells you to ignore all of it. We are groomed to just follow this prescribed path. And if that path works for you, great. But the podcast is gaining traction because the path is not working for a lot of people. And then with the income distribution being so just stark and having so many disparities, you see that the way they taught you to be actually will keep you working, like will basically have you die at work. The whole idea that you work until you're old and then you take a few years to enjoy and hope that you don't die prematurely, like what? Like there has to be another way. There has to be another way. And let me tell you, everything that I share here, I'm also saying me too. I don't have this thing figured out. I am in process with you as well, and just trying to heighten my awareness and trying to be more intentional with my actions. So the question then becomes, who benefits when you ignore yourself? Who benefits? If you operated fully in your gift, would you lose friends? Would you lose your family? I mean, all of this is real. This is not airy. This is real life. So when you hear the stories of guests on the podcast, do you always say, well, they have a partner, or, they have children, or they have money, or they work with celebrities, or they are a celebrity, or, they don't have children, or are you always Is your instinct to draw a differentiation between you and the guests here? Are you trying to create a barrier so you don't see your life in their story? Not their whole story, but everybody. There has to be some nuggets that resonate with you. I'm just here to say that your vision, that vision that you have for yourself, that vision you might not even tell other people about, it is worth exploring. That freedom you seek could be available to you. That joy that seems elusive could be your constant companion. That money that you need in your bank account to make it all happen because we're grown and there's inflation and we got real bills and real responsibilities and the world is a dumpster fire, that money could be one idea away. It might not happen tomorrow, but that doesn't mean that it will never happen. So I'll end the way I started. Why not you? You are absolutely worth it. Despite the mistakes, the violations, the really difficult childhood, the perceived failures, possible shame, you're worth it. You're still here and you have another day to just try again. So just be open if all of this is just so damn overwhelming. I get it. Maybe you can start here of just being open to the idea, the possibility that you have no idea what could be around the corner. This is what a therapist told me years ago when I lived in Charlotte. She told me that you never know, like that thing that you desire. She's like, what if I told you it was around the corner? Like you would wait different for it. So that's just what I want to reiterate, what was told to me. And that I think about all the time. What if that thing or things or circumstance was right around the corner? The blessing, that answered prayer, the relief, the breakthrough that literally could be around the corner. Don't count yourself out too early. Don't dip out just yet. Don't chuck the deuces just yet. This community celebrates who you are right now. I know we often talk about the future of who you could be, but we celebrate who you are right now. The person that keeps trying, the person that keeps showing up, the person that is honest about their fears, the person that is scared, right? Like we honor and celebrate all of that. And we believe in the fullness of who you are hoping to become. And that's not based on anyone else's standards, but your own. If you say you want it, we co-sign. Yep, go on and get it. You want, go on and get it because it's you making the rules for yourself and your life. As always, we would love to partner with you on your journey. First thing you can do is subscribe to this podcast so you never miss another episode. Sign up for the Next Nuggets newsletter where we break down episodes into actionable steps. And if you're a journalist, we invite you to join the Rewrite community where we provide specific tools about how to reinvent your news career. All of the details are in the show notes. We say it every single week since the beginning of this year. You can design the life you desire instead of choosing a life you think you have to settle for. Friends, family, remember, your next is always within reach. All right. We'll see you next week with a new interview. Thanks for listening to The Next Best Thing with Andrea Cline-Thomas, a Mountain Court Media production. The music was written, recorded, and produced by Gavin Casey, also known as Dark Purple. Now, if you like what you heard, please subscribe, give us a 5-star rating, and write a comment on your favorite podcast platform. And don't forget to share it with friends. I hope this episode helps you on your journey. See you next time.